there, welcome back to the Second Chance Garden video. Today is my June hot pepper plants update, and this time around I wanted to start from my little guys because they are making some progress, and I wanted to focus on something more interesting than just showing you more the same already grown plants. And I'm thinking this video might be a 3-part video. Well, that's what I have in mind right now, and we'll see how that goes. Maybe it may not go that way, we'll see. Alright, so here we have Bolivian Orange Habanero, and the past 2 updates, so one in April, the other one in May, my Orange Habanero was like nothing was really happening, and I've been sort of frustrated by that. Somehow it looked like it was stolen, and if I remember correctly, I think I said last time that maybe I need to repot this thing, but it really was so small and I didn't feel the need to repot it, so I sort of left it exactly the way it was. And look at this, now all of a sudden it decided to grow, and I haven't done anything differently, so I can't really tell, some of the things, the way I take care of my plants. I have my reasons and goals and all that stuff, but sometimes they do their own thing when they want to do it, and now it's growing. So it's still in the same container, and it started to shoot out some new growth on sides, so it's getting taller and it's looking pretty good. I see some flower buds here and there. Let's see if I can focus on that a little bit, if I can just find a good spot. There, you see? Sorry for shaking a little bit, but yeah, so I don't know if I wanted to sort of nip these flower buds or not. I haven't decided on it. I'm just happy to see that it's doing something finally. So yeah, so this is my Orange Habanero. I'm keeping it for the time being. I just wanted to see how it goes, and soon enough, I think if it's going to go this way, I will have to repot it very soon, maybe in a week or 2. Alright, so that's that. The next one up is a little comparison that I wanted to do, because this is also pretty interesting. So this is my Copout Rocha, and as you can see, I repotted into this styrofoam white cups, double cup system that I always do. Now I have 2 Copout Shiro plants, and one was repotted, the other one hasn't been. Well, I sort of started repotting some of the pepper plants, and yeah, I couldn't get around to do both of them, so I said to myself, sort of like, as an excuse that, well, it could be a pretty good experiment to see if there would be any difference, with the one that was repotted, the other one that I haven't repotted. And obviously there is a huge difference. So this one was no different than this one before. So basically, it's still alive and it's trying to show some new growth on the top, but nothing was really happening from any nose at the bottom here, right? I mean, it totally can shoot out new leaves from here, but it really wasn't doing anything. And as you can see, this one's not doing anything. But as soon as I repotted this one, well, look at this. So this is the major difference. And the bottom part, this stem was pretty bare, and all of a sudden it decided to shoot out more new leaves. So let me see if I can get a little closer. Here you go. And this is very exciting because, like I said, the stem was completely bare, and I couldn't even top this plant because nothing was at the bottom, just like this. Like, I wouldn't really well, I could top this plant. Maybe that's what I'm going to do next time around and see how it does in the same container. It's sort of as an experiment, but I didn't feel comfortable topping it, because if I'm to say top this thing, I would probably do it here. And I just wasn't sure if it was going to just die off after that. So that's why it stays the way that it is now. But at least this one's doing extremely well. And for that reason, yeah, just by repotting to slightly bigger container, you say it's really, you know, I can't really say that it doubles the size. I mean, it's definitely taller on this one, but just slightly bigger pot can make this much difference. So I thought that, you know, I'd share these side by side with you, because this is really interesting. And not only the bottom part, you know, it's starting to shoot out more new leaves sort of evenly, where this one's really stolen, like the height doesn't really change all too much, and it's really trying to put out new growth on top, where, you know, on the other hand, this one is getting taller and taller to put more leaves out. So there you go. So these are the Copout Shiro Rocha plants. Okay. And I did the same thing with Kumari peppers. So that one that you see right now is the repotted version. I mean, it's kind of hard to see the difference a little bit. I will definitely zoom in on this a little more so that you can see better. In terms of a height, this one is not that tall, but the difference is really apparent in terms of color and how many leaves that this one is putting out. You see side by side, again, this one was looking just like this one. If you can take a look at my previous video, you can see this. But now it's putting out more leaves, it's growing, and the color is a lot better. So here we go. These are Kumari peppers. All right, the last, well, actually, it's not the last one. The fifth one, I think. Wait. The third one. Okay, I'm getting confused, so just don't mind me. But this one is Devil's Tongue hot pepper plant, and I only have this one. Basically, when I purchased all the seedlings from a nursery, I was sort of forced to order 6 plants. It's just the way that they ship, and they want customers to pick 6 plants. So this was one of the hot peppers that I picked just to see how it does. So yeah, this is only one, but I repotted, and yeah, as you can see, it's growing very well too. So I'm pretty pleased with that. So this is Devil's Tongue. All right. Okay, so the last update, I believe I didn't get around to talk about my Shishito hot pepper. And yeah, so what happened with this one, as you can see, this one is still in a bag. Because it was getting very tall and leggy, I topped it. Now, I've made a mistake previously with sweeter peppers where I topped it too aggressively and they died. So this time around, I made sure that I left some leaves before, deciding where to top. And sure enough, though, it's stalling just a little bit. I mean, it's still alive. I don't know if you can see through. Maybe I get a little closer. It's still alive, but it's growing very slowly, and I wanted to baby it, so I just kept it in this plastic bag. The next step for me, I feel like, is to repot so that it'll, to give more energy to this tiny leaves. I really wanted to keep this plant. I don't want this to die. This is the only one I have. So this is how it looks like. Shishito pepper. All right, so that's that. And the last ones are the part of the small guys. All right, let me zoom out. Are my so-called Shiro. So recently I've done repotting video for those, and look at this. Well, the right hand side one isn't really growing all that much for whatever reason. I mean, these are the same containers and I use the same soil, so I'm not really sure exactly what's going on there. But look at this, this one was the first one to sprout. This one is the one that shocked me a bit. Look how large the leaves are right now. Sorry that it's still in a plastic bag because obviously I'm babying it. And if you can see, if I get a little closer here, I have a stake, and I'm tying this plant to this stake for the time being before I decide to top it. I'm definitely topping it, but right now I just wanted to keep it as is and sort of stabilize this plant as much as possible. But it's growing. You see, look at that leaf. It's really huge. Right, so it's doing well. This one I'm not really sure. And you know what's interesting is that whatever I did with these seeds that I planted, ultimately, well, 5 seedlings came out as a result. And I'm still confused about this, and I can go on and on about it, but I'm not going to bore you with that. But anyway, so the rest of it is still in the seedling container. And what's interesting about it is that, you know, depending on the seeds, right? It's just the growth rate is so different from one another. And this one's still in the seedling little container. Yeah, they keep growing. One of it, this one far to the left, is getting taller and taller. And the one in the middle, which is a little hard to see, I'm sorry about that. See if I can have a better angle. This one right here is a bit more like a stodgy one. It doesn't go tall, but it wants to grow more like larger leaves. And I don't know why there are so, you know, there's a difference between all these plants, but it's really interesting thing to observe. And since I have 5 of them, I guess I get to pick the one that seems to be very strong. That's the beauty of planting multiple seeds of one kind, I believe. All right, so these are all my Shiro seeds. So I'm done with my little guys hot pepper plants update. So I'm going to move forward with mid-size to larger one in a minute. So I will be right back. Hey guys, so I'm back with my mid-size hot pepper plants fully prepped and ready to go. So my first one up is my fish peppers, and I'm excited to show you that I repotted one of them. And let me explain which one is which from my previous video. So in my previous video, I think I explained the one was a bit wobbly and taller, and then the other one was a bit more sturdier. And I made a conscious decision to repot my sturdier one for better fruit production. So this one is the one that was more stable, little shorter, but in very good condition. And this one's still in the same container, and this one was the wobblier one. So as you can see from the top, I'll try to do the side shot too, but these, you know, this the one in a fabric pot is doing really well and growing a lot faster, as you can see. And it's been only about 2.5 weeks since I repotted this plant. But look at this. See if I can tilt a little. There you go. Look at this in size. I guess it's not that drastic, but I can tell you that the one in the fabric pot is putting out more shoots, the leaves, and getting a lot taller. So basically what my plan with these fish plants would be, the fish pepper plants would be that, as I said, I wanted to keep growing this one for better pods production. So it stays in this fabric pot for the whole season. And this one, I think I'm going to keep this one as my ornamental hot pepper plants. And you might notice the reason why. This one's a lot more showier in terms of the foliage pattern. As you can see, this one's a little bit sort of understated. I mean, it doesn't really have a drastic green and white patterns everywhere. I mean, there are some, but not that visible compared to this one. I mean, as you can see, this one is a lot more showy, I should say. Like, especially the one in the middle. See if I can get a little closer. Look at this. I mean, in the middle part, it's like almost completely white, you know? And I think there was another thing that I wanted to show you on this plant that was, I thought that was pretty neat, is this leaf. Look at this. It's like completely half and half, right? It's really fun to look at. I mean, for me anyway, I'm weird and I'm just kind of like that. So I am not getting rid of this one, but instead I think I'm going to put this one in a regular sort of like a plastic, you know, decorative container, and I will just keep it just to enjoy the foliage. I'm sure this one's going to flower and put out some pods, and that's okay too, but I would very much like to just look at these foliage. And let me see if I can show this to you a little bit better. You know, the last time in my video I was contemplating on whether or not to top this plant once again because it was getting really wobbly. Now you can see that it's not that wobbly compared to the last time. So to make a long story short, I did top it. That's what I'm trying to show you. So I topped it, and you can see the difference, right? I mean, they grew back like crazy. But let me see if I can show you the part that I topped. So I topped this part, and right next to it, I don't know if you can see there, that part right here. So those two of the stems, I topped it, and there are all sorts of, you know, the new growths came out. So it's doing well. I shouldn't have been so nervous about topping it, because, you know, I knew deep down they were going to come back strong anyways. I should, you know, I'm glad that I just did it. Anyway, so these are my fish peppers, and they are doing well. So moving on, I'm going to show you my cayenne long slim. Just bear with me for one hot second. All right. It's kind of more the same with this plant. I mean, it's doing well. This is my oldest hot pepper plant, and this sort of gave me a chance to practice, you know, growing hot pepper plant, and it's doing well. The one thing you might have noticed, I've already taken some of the pods. They were ripened, and they had to go, so I chopped them off. So now this one is back to sort of putting out more leaf stage, and it's doing its own thing, and you know, I'm fairly happy with this. I just don't know. I'm thinking that, you know, whether or not to keep this plant for long. This was a very good practice plant, but I'm not sure if this is a keeper. You might not see this the next time around. We'll see. All right, so this is cayenne long slim. The last but not least is my ornamental hot pepper plants. Of course, I'm not gonna skip that part because it's still a lot of fun to talk about it. This one is my Bolivian Rainbow, and yeah, it's doing its own thing and putting out more pods. And last time I think it had more flowers than pods, but now as you can see, you see a lot more pods. What's interesting about this one is that the pods change their colors at different stages. So you get to see different colors being on this plant time to time, and it's very festive. And see, I'm going to zoom in a little bit to talk a bit about the color difference, right? Okay, so here we go. It starts out, see this one, the tiny one, you know, it starts out with darker purple color. And what's interesting about Bolivian Rainbow is that it doesn't change from dark purple to red immediately. there are a couple more stages to it. So once they put out these baby dark purple pods, they change to sort of like a lighter, creamier purple. And it's really not intuitive to me that the color changes to lighter color before it gets to this red. Like, I don't understand it, but I guess I'm never going to figure out why. So I'm just going to show you what color it is in the middle stage. So let me zoom in. So this is the one that's actually been around for a little while. So compared to this purple one and this one, actually the one to the left is younger than this one. So this one will, if you just leave it for a little longer, this one will turn into even lighter color, like a bit more like a yellowish color. I don't know if I can show there, this one, you know, after this stage, it'll go to this stage right there before it turns into red. So it's really, really interesting. Like I'm really puzzled how they change their colors, but regardless, I'm really liking to see all these changes on this plant. And what I wanted to see in the future is that once the summer season's over, most likely I'm going to cut this plant down a little bit to just give it a bit of a rest before it starts to sort of put out more new growth. And I'm hoping during the holiday, you know, the winter holiday time, when it gets colder and all that, it'll put out more pods like this one, so that it would be kind of like a festive. It's almost like my version of a Christmas tree. That's what I'm aiming for, and I hope that'll happen. We'll see. I'm going to give my best shot with that. All right, so this is my Bolivian Rainbow. The next one, as you guessed it, is my Black Pearl, my all-time favorite. I say that every time. I'm sure you're sick of it, but anyway, what I love about this plant is that it does its own thing, and like I don't really do anything. I don't even trim them anymore, and they're always looking great. What can I say? It's just, I don't know, it's just great. The difference between the last update and this update is the way it looks with new growth. So it's getting a lot bushier, which is the way that I like to see this plant. And once again, I'm happy with it. So the last time when I showed you like a sort of like a top-down view, you were able to still see some stems, you know, the base stems in the middle, but now you can't anymore. And as you can see from far, when you look at it, you see some lighter green leaves coming out. Obviously, these are new growths, and it's doing extremely well. So I really enjoy this, and I like the size too. I mean, it's just a nice, good size for me to enjoy this plant. So yeah, I can never get tired of it. So now this is my last mid-size category hot pepper plant, and I'm moving on to my larger ones. So bear with me for a second, and I will be right back. All right, so I'm back, fully prepped for my giant hot pepper plants, and the first one up is my Peruvian white lining. And this thing is getting harder and harder for me to shoot because they're getting so big. Like, I don't even know what to do. I may even have to lift my tripod a little bit. Maybe that's a really silly idea, but I'm gonna do it anyway. There you go. So that's the top view. It's out of control. Okay, so I'm just gonna put this thing down a little bit. There you go. I'm not complaining, don't get me wrong. I'm really, really happy with the way that they're growing, but they're just growing like crazy. The only thing is that the last time, I think I was looking for flowers and flower buds, but I couldn't find any on this plant. Now I do see some. It's just getting so wide. And normally when it gets to that point, the best thing to do is to chop them, you know, around this way to sort of keep it compact so that the plants will grow upwards a little. I haven't done that, but let's just get back to flower buds, see if I can zoom in on this. So that's the bit of a difference. I mean, it's growing really well. But now there's this one is showing some flower buds. I don't know if you can see it here. A couple. There are tons more actually. Like if I just yeah, shift around, I mean, you see the buds. So I'm sort of leaving them this time around. I mean, it's summertime and they should be flowering anyway, so I'm just letting them grow now. But flowers for Peruvian white lining seem to be very tiny. The pods are also very tiny too, so I'm hoping that they pollinate okay. I do not know. This is going to be my first time trying, and yeah, I hope that they're going to flower okay. And maybe next time when I shoot my update video, I'm hoping the flowers are all over the place on this plant. But anyway, so it's doing very, very well. I think I'm going to give him a little haircut though. I just couldn't get around to that for this update. All right, so moving on. The last one is, of course, none other, my Jamaican hot chocolate. It's the same situation. It's getting so big. It's so big that I can't even show you how big it is anymore, just because it just goes outward so much. Maybe I'm just going to have to move this pot around a little bit to show you how wide and big it's gotten. So that's like the end of the growth, and then going back to this pot to the middle. I mean, it's, gosh, it's growing, still growing. The only thing is that at one point, unfortunately, I didn't notice that the soil was almost completely dry. So it did go through a near-death experience 2 weeks ago. That's the reason why some of the leaves are, have upward curling shape a little bit. And I don't think I can fix that anymore than the way that they look right now. But it's back up, and it's been watered well since then. Of course, I'm not going to make the same mistake. And yeah, so it's in pretty good shape. Only thing is that that hasn't changed from the last update is that there are no flowers yet. I just really don't see any flowers whatsoever. I mean, they're in good shape, and maybe I was hoping that I could show you some flower buds this time around, and that's what I said a month ago, I think. But let's hope the next round I get to show you some flower buds. I just don't see, like, not even a sign of flower buds. But anyway, I guess it's taking its own time, and if that's the way it goes, then that's the way it goes. But anyway, this is my June hot pepper plants update. I know it got very lengthy. I try to keep it as short as possible each time, and I say that to myself every time, and I just don't seem to be able to do so. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and any comments are welcome, and yeah, I'll see you soon. Thanks.